Good evening. This is Joe Burgess, candidate for Superintendent of Leon County Schools. Welcome you back to Rebuilding Bridges with Burgess. And we got a couple topics to get in today, but we're going to do a part 2 of the logo because it's just been a discussion. It's really important. It shows a lot of things of what's going wrong with the district, and I just want to highlight those for you. So when we think about the logo, when you go to Chick-fil-A, you look at the logo, you pay attention to that chicken? I mean, really? What you pay attention to is the quality of the chicken that you eat, right? When you go to Target, you see the little Target sign. Now, it might remind you that it's a Target store, but are you there for the products or are you there because of that logo, right? So in all of our research, the logo was the thing that we needed. Okay, so if the logo was the thing that we needed, so what I have for you here is, and on your screen right now is an email that went out to principals, and we were asked to send to our communities, which was a fabricated lie. First of all, it says, "Dear parents," and then in the next sentence it says, "Today is an exciting day." Well, to be honest with you, it is absolutely not an exciting day for the principal who has to lie and say, "I endorse this product." Now, what it was the superintendent or one of his leadership teams, they should have got up there and said that they were excited. We can always send it out. They have the right to send that out if they choose. But getting your employees to say, "I'm excited about this," it's just wrong. And it's disingenuous. We're actually lying to the public when we do that. Okay. And then to have our names put at the end. I'll be honest, they can write me up. I really don't care. I didn't put my name on it. I didn't put my name at the bottom because that was no line. I absolutely did not endorse this product. They knew that, as I told you guys before, when I gave you the silence from the last meeting, that was the reaction that the principals gave. And we were just as surprised that we were at the point that we were just putting this logo out. It should be put on the shelf, but that's a different discussion. So getting back to the logo there, when we're thinking about these families who are going to private school, there's a certain segment of families that are going to just choose private school. We have to understand that. There's just some of them that will. That doesn't mean it's everyone. And that's the people that, I get it. We're trying to help recruit and speak with them and the things that we need to do differently. But I will dare the district to provide the responses from those little advocacy groups or whatever groups that they met with that nobody heard of or has seen or anything, and say, did anybody mention the logo? What they talked about was academic excellence, innovation, safety. They talked about those kind of things that schools needed to do, how we needed to improve our practice to make it more attractive for them to come. They never talked about a logo. Matter of fact, if we're talking about rebranding, let's think about somebody like Comcast. What did Comcast do? They rebranded, they renamed themselves. They went to Xfinity. That's a true rebranding campaign, okay? We were fine with what we had. We needed to act differently to match the world that we have with vouchers and everything else, responding to the current world, the way the legislation is written. We need to perform better with our schools across the district in areas that may not always have the most affluent parents. That's the requirement of our district. But let's go further. Let's really think about this, because I know there's been some people out there and they've been doing little commercials or at least ads, for people in office or about the logo. But let's think about this. If the logo was so effective and it was helping us bring those $8,000 back to the school district, some of the first people we would have worked on are some of our LCS employees who have their kids in charter and private school. Now, I want to quickly say everyone has a right to send their kids where they want to. But if that logo is so effective, that would be the first ones that it would impact. The people who actually work inside Leon County school system, who see it every day, who see the greatness of it every day. That logo would have impacted them. I would beg to know it's probably not. So just something for you to think about. If it's that impactful, let's think about that. Well, we got to work harder. It's not about new signs. It's not about the way we work. It's about our business. It's the way that we work with especially our special needs students, some of our at-risk populations. some of our families that are moving in, or what about the families that have been here? And they have to feel good about the feeder chain of schools that they have. We talked about this with the pre-K talk, but, pre-K through the time they graduate from high school, families have to believe that feeder chain that their kids go through is going to give them the best opportunities in life. And if they don't believe in that, they're going to go somewhere else where they think they're going to get that. That means we have to improve it. We have to give better incentives, better benefits to attract the best people. And when we get those best people, we have to make sure we do the things to make sure that they stay, to make sure that they feel appreciated. That is not the case right now. And we got to do more. So continuing on, we need to talk about some of the things that are really getting in the way that this logo doesn't address. Logos can't talk to us about the tolerance of student behavior right now. So at the beginning of this school year, it was put out that we were going to reduce the days of suspension and all that. And if there are ways to help kids out, to help them stay in the classroom, we're all for it. But for egregious actions, we cannot be doing that. What happens is kids, as they walk around the hallway, they don't feel safe. And you know what they do? They talk to their parents about not feeling safe. And you know what parents do? Parents talk to other parents that their kids don't feel safe, because somebody who is really wreaking havoc on their daily school life is showing back up. And when they see minimum consequences for these serious infractions, how can we say it's a better environment? We're not being real. Now, we can do things to try our best to mitigate those circumstances beforehand. But once somebody does something, our kids, our teachers, our parents, our staff members, they're looking at us to say, hey, are we going to address this issue, or are we going to try to gloss it over so that our records look better? Let's coach up our people to do better. But once somebody does something wrong, they actually get the punishment for the action that they did. That is a huge reason why a lot of the people have left, on top of the academic excellence that we already talked about that we need to address in our schools. So going even further, if you're talking about middle school and high school students in particular, there's just things that are happening with our students, everything from drugs to vaping. And right now, we don't have enough people on the ground. I have said this already, I'm going to say it again. We don't have enough foot soldiers. You have to have people who are out there to help make sure it's safe. I can't ask teachers to be in the classroom and throughout all the hallways at the same time, because while you're in the classroom, somebody could have knocked somebody upside the head, right? So you got to have people who can help them, but we don't have enough. And we have the monies to make that happen. There's a priority that we should be doing. But getting back to the academics. So, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit with the graduation rate when I get to that later on, but we're getting rid of the people that are helping us right now when we have a lower graduation rate than the state, but yet we're getting rid of them. And we're talking about academic excellence. I have yet to see anywhere, any talk, any presentation from the superintendent or board members that has given me confidence that they're going to repurpose the way that we do things to be more effective, to bring those people back, because it's certainly not a logo. So, when we look at private schools, one of the things that they have over us is the way that they handle students, which tells us one of the advantages we have within the public school system is alternative schools. We have closed some alternative schools over the last few years, and it has really hurt us because a lot of those students have been inappropriately placed in other school centers. And it's made it very difficult on them. It's made it difficult on the classmates, difficult on the teachers. But going back, it's most difficult on the student. We got to make the right decision about what we do with our kids and how we set up our systems, and to give them the best chance to get back to regular schooling and get the best performance, the best opportunities available. But we have to do that at the right time. And there's a lot of us sitting down, making sure we're working with the student to make sure they are the most successful. But when we're getting rid of some of our best alternative sites, we lose that opportunity. So there was a company that worked with our school district, and they really wanted to put out there about, that it wasn't $100,000. So something you guys have to learn is a word called encumbered. Encumbered means money set aside. I don't care if they use $1 or they use $99,000. $100,000 has been encumbered, put to the side for this company or companies. I think it's more than one. And so with that put aside, that is money that could not go back into the general use. That's ridiculous. When we actually have people capable within our offices, within our schools, within our district who have the ability to do the very same thing that that company did. No disrespect to them, and I'm sure they're going to tell you all about their accolades. But I promise you, we could have gotten to the same results for a whole lot less than $100,000. Matter of fact, at about $0, we could have done the same thing. So, moving on from the marketing, the logo, if you go back to the video, what it does most is talk about we need to rework the way that we do our work, the way that we communicate, the way that we tell our story. You know what we never did? We never asked our teachers. We never asked our principals. We didn't ask our staff members. We didn't ask our students. We didn't ask our parents. They could have told the story. And now they want to say, oh, well, tell us some of those people. We'll have them tell the story. No, they should have told the story on the front end before we had a company involved. They are the ones who tell the best stories. If you want people to leave private school and come into public school, you know who makes that best case? The families and students who are already in the school. They're the ones that they believe. I work for the system, so they're not going to always believe what I have to say. But somebody who has the ability to go with them to private school or come there to public school, they're going to talk to them. They're a customer. So that is who we should be talking to. That is their stories who we should be channeling. We don't need a company to tell us that. This is what we've always known. We've known this since Little House on the Prairie. It hadn't changed. Okay? Do you want a little house? Do we need to add on to the little house? I mean, like whatever. That story is already there. And we have people willing, ready, and able to tell that story. Another thing is that the thing that parents are talking about is lacking is our communication. They just don't know what's happening. They don't know. Like we talked about, you're getting rid of listserv. People want to know if something bad has happened, tell it, say it. And also say, how did you deal with it? How did we make sure our kids were safe? But if we're taking away listserv and we're forcing everything to go through focus, we're not trying to tell them. We're trying to masquerade it. We're trying to hide it. We're trying to get rid of it. And people are not going to want to hear that. You're actually doing the actions that are going to drive more people away in a system that allows them to do that. That makes no sense. So we need to get back to communicating more. You need to communicate much more effectively with our public. We can't be scared of that. Don't be in a public service position and you are afraid to talk to people. Go sit down, go get out the way. We need some other people here to do this. So we need to continue. We need to be transparent. We need to be communicating. And this also includes the communication between the district and the schools, between the district, schools, and parents, between that, the district, the school, and the teachers. We need all the communication to be better. Everybody's voices should be heard. That's how we get better. If we listen, if we really listen, you know, it'd be really good if we got back to some good old community conversations where people in every neighborhood felt like they had a reach on the superintendent, not where we just show up and it's a, you know, oh, we're posting this on the Facebook that, hey, I've come by the school. No, I'm talking about sitting down with people with unprepared questions and we handle it just like leaders should. That's part of my job. Why aren't we doing that? Because I'm telling you this, if you're out at Woodville, if you're out in Fort Brayton, are you really feeling the same about getting attention for your school as, let's say, a school in the Northeast? I mean, are we being real about that? Because part of running a district is each one of those schools in those different communities throughout our county have to feel appreciated. It's just like every one of our kids, whether you come from the most affluent home or from the poorest home, we should all love you and love you the same. But right now, we're not being honest talking about that's what we're doing in each community and are we spending time in each community that they need. And sometimes some communities need a little more. Some communities are struggling, so they need to see our leaders more. We got some schools I'm going to be talking about later. We need to make sure we're seeing those schools more. But moving on. The district also needs to make sure that we're working on training up our practices Like, for example, and I've talked about this too, this goes with the logo. We really want a logo that's going to sell our people. Train up our leaders. Train up your teachers. Train up your support staff. Train up your parents. Sometimes our parents actually don't know how to parent. It's okay to say that. And it's okay for a parent to tell us that. They understand that I'm not judging them. And we shouldn't judge them. We should help them be more effective. Why? Because the system works better when the parent is holding me accountable. When the community member is holding me accountable, the system works better that way. And we have to make sure we do our part to make sure that happens. All right. So I just want to say I will plan to talk a lot more about the logo if I'm asked, or if I see anyone in the community, if I get on the radio. I would love to talk about the logo. I will probably go off, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I've said enough. I'm actually going to transition. We're going to talk about graduation rates. So I've got my wonderful wife and trusty assistant here. She's going to hold up 2 graduation rates. So the first one that you're going to hold up for everybody to see should have the overall graduation rates. Okay. And we've talked about this. Now, if you go ahead and put me back on screen. All right. So the district sends out a post and they say, hey, we're at 90%. Now, I will just tell you that there's no reason to lie. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you how the district should have phrased it. We are slightly below the state average, and we got to work hard to get back above the state average. That is what they should have said. At 86%, we are lower than the state average of 88%. But we actually go, oh, we're at 90%. That's a lie. That is a lie. It's an unnecessary lie. I don't know why, but they could have just said, hey, we're slightly below the state average and we need to work to get it back above the state average. Simply. Okay. Part of us earning your trust is telling you the truth. And you say, we're going to try to work hard to do that. Now, as of right now, I haven't seen a reinvigorated plan of how that's going to get better. And there hasn't anything been sent out. We're just going to do the same thing and hope it gets better. It's not. We're in a different world. We were in a different world after the recession and we had to change things. And we're in a different world after COVID. We got to do things differently. Doing the same thing and hoping for a better result. It's crazy. And so we got to do better. We got to come up with strategies, and different strategies than the one they had. And we've got to focus some attention on those areas that really need those concerns. Can you bring up the second sheet, please? So here you see the different categories of students. So you have those students that are ESC, those students that are ELL. You have all kinds of different categories, by race. So you have different categories up there. Now, this is where I get back to. We need to talk about the staffing cuts, because we've gotten rid of interventionists, right? So in a time where we actually have dropped in our graduation rates, we're getting rid of the people that actually helped us keep it from its tanking lower. And we're going to expect a higher result. It just doesn't make sense. We got to make sure that those positions are funded. When we had the recession, we didn't lose a teacher position, and part of having a budget is priority. You protect schools first. I just think that's the way it should be always. And it doesn't mean that I say this and like the people working out of the district, I just want to get rid of you. It just means that we're going to protect school positions first. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, the most important position is the one that is closest to the student, and that is the classrooms at a school and those supporting those people at a school. Sorry, it's the truth. And if you don't know that, we really need to talk to you about what's important in school.
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Amy Elizabeth, you said you have a question. Feel free to post it and then we'll respond to it.
And we'll be happy to address that at the end. Amy, thank you for posting your question. I'll make sure to get to that at the end. So one of the things we also need to be looking at is we need to make sure that we help our teachers become certified, and we need to make sure that we're having them develop and giving them skills, and understand that the skills that we need to develop with them are not the same skills from 2018, 2019. I'm sorry, these are different kids. And we got to recognize that. And we have to adjust to it. But we're not doing that. We're not having that conversation. We're not being sincere with the public. And we also need to tell parents, you may have had older kids and the kids you have now. Those are different kids. And so we have to adjust. We have to make changes. So those graduation rates, we're going to put those out. We're going to make sure that you see those so that you have a chance to look at it yourself and make sure that you see that information. Make sure it's right there for you. You can print it off. You can look at it as many times as you want. Now, there's another item that I want to get to, and it's just something, it's like the red flag that's going on. And so this is called persistently low performing schools. Now, if you'll look at there, you'll see Leon has 4 schools. So they are whited out so you can't see who they are, because this is not about embarrassing those schools. It is not about embarrassing those leaders and the people who are doing the hard work every day at those schools and in those communities. What it is highlighting, though, is that there are only 68 schools on that list. There are, if you really look at it, there are 6% of the schools who are persistently low performing are in Leon County schools. There's 67 districts in the state of Florida. And if you think about our population, it is very small. Just to give you an idea, Miami-Dade has 330,000 students and has 522 schools. Okay? Leon County is about 30,000 students and we have about 44 schools. Somewhere in that area. Okay, so think about it. They're 10 times our size. The multitude of issues are enormous the bigger you are. You know how many schools that they have on that list? 0. And we can't use the excuse of we've got urban issues or no, we're not going to have more than Miami-Dade. You tell them a lie. Don't even start. They didn't have a different strain of COVID. None of that going on. I mean, none of that is part of the issue, none of that to bring up. What we need to be looking at is we just need to perform better. And we need to say, we don't want our schools on this list. But before these low performing schools, I apologize. I need to get back on track real quick. Let me give you another example. Lee County. Sorry, let's go Southwest Florida. Okay. This is Fort Myers, right? They've got 90,000 students in 119 schools. How many on the list? 0. But here's what I'll do. Let's say, wait a minute. Look, can we have anybody that's close to us that is comparable in numbers? Yes. Bay County, which is right over there, Panama City. They got 27,000 students. They have 48 schools. They've got 2 schools on the list. So comparable. They got 2. But I would just tell you, our 4, that's ridiculous. And somebody wake up. We got to get the alarm going. We need people to know there's an issue and we need to help solve it. We need to do our schools differently. We need to get in those schools. And I will tell you, I went to a state board of education meeting recently, and you as the superintendent, you need to be in there with your leaders. They need to see you consistently in those schools, helping them to become better. And no, they're not your most affluent places, but they're the places that need to see you the most. They need some love, and we need to be helping them. So those are your persistent low performing schools. We're going to put that out. Again, that is not to embarrass those schools. That is to say, as a district, how can we have 4 of those kind of schools? And we're saying that we're a high academic achieving place. Right now, we have a grade of B, and it's on a curve. They only give out 3 grades, and we're in the middle tier. We should be in the top tier. We got FSU, FAMU, Tallahassee State College, all right here in our backyard. So I've been rambling on. I'm ready for the question if you have it.
Yes.
Okay.
So the question is for Amy. Her child is in 3 different sports in middle school.
Okay.
And what happened to after school activity buses for people with transportation challenges?
All right. So after school transportation actually left during a recession. So it's been gone for a while. Where we had scheduled buses every day that would pick up, especially for middle school, because of the activities that occurred. Probably the best reason that that's been cut is for budget, but what we're talking about is how do we get that back in? That would just have to require looking at the budget, and you have to make it a priority. And that would mean, because, and let me tell you, so when I was a middle school principal and prior to that, I was a middle school athletic director and a teacher. Those bus routes, so let's say if you were at a school and you had 10 buses, your after school bus usually was like 2 buses. You had to be on there longer. And it was actually, you had to go longer than the high school route in order to get home, right? But it was additional transportation. Those are things we can look at, and those are priorities. Those are things that we need to discuss. And I think there's a discussion that we need to have with the community. Are we willing to really get in our pockets and pay for those buses to help those families out? I agree. You got a child that's there with 3 sports, they're up there all year. And you're working, and it's hard for you to pick up kids and to assume that everybody's got, vehicles, or I've got another person in my house who go pick up with kids. Like if you're by yourself, I mean, what do? I'm trying to work. My kids doing stuff. So those are things that we really do need to be looking at. I think it's good that, Amy, that you continue to advocate that we need some transportation for those families that want their kids to participate, but feel like transportation is a barrier, is a burden. All right. So I just wanted to let you know that's when it left, but we certainly can look at bringing it back. It's just a budget priority. We just have to make it important. We make time and money for what's important. So just a few reminders. Go to our website, electjoeburgess.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, share this video, share the links. We are a grassroots campaign. Like I said, it's going to take all of you to help us, what we need to do. So get on the website, electjoeburgess.com, volunteer. But listen, guys, it doesn't happen without funds. And whether you got $5, $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, we need every dime. We need every bit of help. Okay. Because that's what it takes. Grassroots. So whatever you have, if you can, go to electjoeburgess.com. We'll have a link there where you can donate. That helps sustain us, helps get our word out, our message out. Make sure that we can advertise everywhere, especially on social media, TV, radio, to make sure our message is getting out. And also, just making sure if you want yard signs, all those things, it requires money, guys. It's not free, and we need your help in order to make that happen. But I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Amy, for your question. For everybody else out there, please, please, please make sure you share this video, tell your friends, follow our page, follow our questions. We're putting it out there in the open. I'm challenging everybody else. They need to be doing this, talking to the public, laying the issues out there, because I want to serve you to be your next superintendent of Leon County Schools. Good evening.